More than 24 hours after a massive fire broke out in an apartment complex under construction, fire crews are still working to extinguish hot spots that remain. The 5-alarm fire sparked Friday evening near Leetsdale Drive and South Forest Street, prompting a huge response from Denver Fire and many other agencies. More than 150 firefighters battled those flames. One firefighter did suffer a minor shoulder injury and is expected to be okay. Power was knocked out for people in the area, and smoke prompted air quality concerns that lasted into today. At one point, there were evacuation orders for an area of about 16 blocks in that neighborhood. We appreciate you joining us this evening. I'm Mark Salinger. The building was named Harker Heights. It's a 283-unit apartment project that started construction back in 2023. It was set to open in May, now though completely destroyed. Investigators are still working to figure out the cause, but that could take some time.
Multiple portions of this building have collapsed. We are still unable to get inside to do any searches, which would help us determine a cause and also search for any potential victims that are inside.
Denver Fire says crews are expected to stay working overnight to extinguish those hot spots. Tonight, firefighters are calling it one of the biggest fires that this city has seen in decades. 9 News reporter Colton Chavez is live on the scene this evening. And Colton, those firefighters may be now starting to head home after more than a day battling these flames.
Yeah, Mark, we've been out here all day long, and this, I would think, is a good sign. If you see just behind me here, those ladders that are usually up in the air spraying a ton of water down onto this building are now down, which, like I said, hopefully is a good sign, because the people that we talked to out here today that live nearby were sort of relating this as a natural disaster.
I dealt with Hurricane Katrina in 2005.
It's a different kind of disaster, but the danger is still being felt.
Right, so I was about 100 feet that way on the other side of the wooden fence on a picnic table. I could feel the heat over there from this building last night.
Dustin Ogden is just one of the many people still rattled from the 5-alarm apartment fire from one night ago.
I drove by and I was telling Kathy about it. And I said, well, if you want, we were going to walk. And I said, well, why don't we go down so you can see it? As soon as we got out of her car, it was like, whoa, my eyes, I could feel it and everything and smell it more, kind of.
A day later, and smoke is still smothering the area as nearly 40 first responders man the front lines.
Through the night and the day, we're going to have crews here all night long. We've already got a schedule in place to cycle them through so we can keep a monitor on this.
And does it surprise me? No.
Mike has called this part of Denver home for 50 years and says they don't build them like they used to.
I'm a retired union bricklayer. I had 42 years in the trade. We used to build buildings that stand. Why? They were all brick and block. The only thing standing over here is the stairwell. That's it.
The 283-unit building was reportedly set to open in May. Firefighters were able to keep most of the flames contained to the property.
I wasn't expecting to really see too much of it left. I mean, half the building's still standing, so they did pretty good.
It just shows you how wonderful the firefighters are, that they were able to contain it like they have.
A danger still being felt.
I mean, in my book, that's a win.
Leaving a community feeling grateful for the first responders still fighting.
It could have been a lot worse.
And one of the questions that I got a ton while I was out here earlier today is, what's the cause of the fire? Now, as of this report, we're still waiting to find out what that is. Now, if you heard from the fire chief of Denver Fire, one thing he said is that the structure is so unstable that it's hard for them to get any personnel inside, which does kind of create a little bit of a barrier when it comes to discovering what caused this disaster. But you can trust 9 News to bring you all those latest details. Live in Denver tonight, Colton Chavez, 9 News.
So hundreds of homes were evacuated as firefighters worked to contain that fire last night. Power was shut off for hours into today. Smoke lingered as evacuated residents began returning home on Saturday. One homeowner says he tried to protect his property with a garden hose before firefighters ordered everybody to head out. His home survived, though it was filled with a lot of smoke. Some nearby homes were damaged as well. He credits firefighters for stopping the fire before it moved into the neighborhood.
I didn't look back because all the emergency vehicles were still coming in. I couldn't take my eyes off the road, but I definitely had the thought that okay, we might not return to this home again.
and it was close to those homes. He credits the quick response from Denver Fire. Denver Fire says people living in the area should be prepared to deal with smoke in the air for at least the next couple of days. Now to the biggest story in the world this evening. Tonight, the plane carrying Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife has arrived in New York City. The U.S. military captured the couple during a surprise military attack early this morning in Caracas, Venezuela. President Trump says the U.S. is now running Venezuela, but has offered few details on how that will work. As Venezuelans around the world take to the streets to celebrate Maduro's ouster, some members of Congress here in the U.S. are calling the raid illegal. NBC's Chris Pallone reports.
Tonight, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is in New York in federal custody hours after a surprise early morning U.S. military raid on his compound in Caracas.
Late last night and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela.
The Pentagon says President Trump gave the order to arrest Maduro just before 11 Friday night. Troops from 20 military bases and 150 U.S. aircraft took part in the mission, which saw an elite strike force arrive at Maduro's compound around 1 this morning.
This mission was meticulously planned, drawing lessons from decades of missions over the last many years.
The president says with Maduro deposed, the U.S. will run Venezuela indefinitely.
We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition.
Venezuela has the world's largest oil reserves.
We're going to be taking out a tremendous amount of wealth out of the ground, and that wealth is going to the people of Venezuela and people from outside of Venezuela that used to be in Venezuela. And it goes also to the United States of America in the form of reimbursement for the damages caused us by that country.
Venezuelans around the world taking to the streets to celebrate the end of Maduro's reign.
Everybody's just happy because everybody has been waiting for democracy and change in Venezuela.
But on Capitol Hill, congressional Democrats and some Republicans are demanding answers from the Trump administration about why they were kept in the dark. Many calling the military mission illegal.
Now they're saying they were going to occupy a foreign country, we're going to run it from the United States, and that we're going to steal their oil. In what world did this administration get any of that permission ever for them to do that?
Secretary of State Marco Rubio said briefing Congress before the attack would have jeopardized the mission to get Maduro. Chris Pallone, NBC News.
Maduro and his wife are expected to make their first court appearance as soon as Monday. People here in Colorado gathered on the steps of the state capitol protesting the Trump administration's actions in Venezuela. It was an anti-war in Venezuela protest.
We are not residents of Venezuela. We have not experienced their struggle, and they have their own unique struggles, and they have the right to fight them the way that they see fit. We should not be intervening and telling them how to fight those struggles, or intervening and taking over their country, or intervening and taking over their resources. There is just no need for it, and it's far past the right of what we should be doing.
While some protested the move, others praised it. That includes one Venezuelan American celebrating in Florida.
As a Venezuelan American, I can't tell you how happy I am. There's tears in my eyes. We've been waiting for this moment since 1998.
People in different South American countries like Colombia also celebrating Maduro's capture and the U.S.'s actions in Venezuela. Turning now to the weather, Corey Reppenhagen, it doesn't feel like January 3rd out there in Colorado, at least not here in Denver.
No, and the heat and the dry air is going to get your attention tomorrow again. And before that, the winds. It's going to be very gusty tomorrow morning, especially if you live on the west side of the Denver metro area. Flags are calm right now, no wind in sight, but it is coming soon. It's starting to see it in the foothills, and it's going to expand down to the lower side of the west metro. We'll also be chasing some record heat here. 67 is the record for tomorrow, and 67 is our forecast. So we're going to be right in that neighborhood. And with the warm temperatures, dry air, gusty winds, we've got some elevated fire danger. There is a fire weather warning in place that does cover some of the Denver metro area all the way down the I-25 corridor to the New Mexico state line. And this is the next 3 days here in Denver. We'll have that warm day tomorrow, and we'll stay pretty mild, breezy on Monday. The change in the weather isn't coming until Thursday, and we'll talk about that, maybe some snow flurries and some much colder temperatures ahead.